Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to another edition of Africa Discourse. I am Wilson Marshall. Today is all about what is happening, even as we're talking in Mali. Yes, don't forget about Goita, the mother beside the helms of affairs, when we talk about the military junta that overthrew the democratic government in Mali. And they are talking tough, saying enough of interference from ECOWAS, enough to financial sanction, enough to trade sanction, enough to so many other interference from countries like France, US, trying to tell them what to do. And guess what? Mammoth crowd, Malian citizens coming out in mass to say, look, enough is enough, leave us alone. People are now asking, what impact is this protest going to be having in Mali's democracy? As we're talking right now in the studio, the protest is still on. They call it anti-sanction protests. Yes, the person against the sanctions saying we don't want it anymore. Let us be. We love the government. We love the military taking over democracy because we've not seen any dividends of democracy. Let us see how the military can take us out of poverty. But right now, they've been slammed with sanction. How do you think all this will pan out? With me here in the studio, I have a man of God, a clergyman, and of course a lecturer in the College of Medical Sciences. I keep getting that twisted. Why is it so? Join me to welcome Honorable Frank Amigo, a political analyst also. Welcome to Africa Discourse, and of course, Happy New Year to you. Yeah. All right. So very close to him, he is a legal practitioner, a human rights activist. Join me to welcome Barrister Henry Wanzo. Barrister, welcome to Africa Discourse. Appreciate your coming. And of course, Happy New Year to you. Yeah, this is the first time we're meeting on air here for this year. Okay. One might have thought that since democracy is a government for the people, by the people, what is happening right now in Mali should have been happening. You're seeing people coming out in their thousands saying, stop interfering with our kind of rulership. We've not benefited from democracy. Let the military retain power. Why are you slamming sanction on us if you are in tune with the military junta that came up to make our country, Mali, better? People are like taking it from various angles. Some are for it, some are against it, while some are just indifferent about it. Honorable, what do you feel about this?
Yes, the situation is quite unfortunate because whenever somebody is saying a thing, and the thing that is said, you can look at the who and what. If the Colonel Goita is saying there should be no interference, the first thing you look at the integrity of the person that is speaking. Your first former president, Keita, out of office, and unfortunately he's even late now.
He's even late, yes, he died, yeah.
And while he came on board, there was this agreement that there'll be elections February, that's next month this year. So, and there was an interim government. They also masterminded and came back into the situation that the place is not ripe enough for elections. The place, Mali, that is not ripe enough for elections is ripe enough for demonstrations, as you can see on the screen. So if all these people can demonstrate like this, why can't they vote? If there's insecurity in Mali, can they come out like this really to protest? I'm seeing this mammoth crowd as maybe hired. If they are not hired, it means they are docile, not living in consonance with the reality of the present-day war system. What runs in the world now is democracy, majorly democracy. So they don't even know the level of impoverishment they are into. Mali is a landlocked country and one of the poorest in the world. So other countries that are better off, they are telling you what to do and what not to do. Then your military junta is coming to ask you to come and protest. If I were one of them, I would join them to protest. But I'm not so sure if this actually represented a large majority of the Malians. And what I'm seeing here now, they're going to be faced with the sanctions that ECOWAS has proposed. They think it's a child's play. Right now, all the land borders have been closed down, air borders closed down, to the extent that no flight, international flight comes to Bamako, Mali. Even Air France is not coming. Their money, it will get to a time that they don't pay salaries anymore. So if these people understand the reality of what's on ground, I don't think they can come out like this. Maybe they were lied to. Because the way Goita is presenting it is like asking and thanking Russia and China that
we'll
they couldn't get that.
Yes, we'll come to that. The aspect of Russia and China. Before we get to that, take a look at the crowd. You said maybe they're like hired. We're talking about tens of thousands of citizens coming out to say,
or misled.
This is what we want, misled or hired. Okay, I'll come back to you, Honorable. Well, Barrister, you heard him. He said it's like the Malians don't know what they are up against. They were under late Keita. According to report, they never liked it. That was the reason why the military took over. And from what Goita is saying, you guys are putting me under pressure to conduct election. The time given to me to conduct election is too short. Allow me settle down. Allow me settle the democratic atmosphere. Allow me imbibe in these people the reason why they should do the right thing at the right time via democracy. Why are you in a hurry, ECOWAS? Barrister, take it up from there.
You see, sometimes I always say it, the people are not, the leaders sometimes have little, they have, contributed to the problem of the people. Sometimes the people, they have their own problem. Because a man who has seized power, and today the same man you are singing Hosanna for, you ask yourself this question: where have we got it wrong in this part of the world? Every other person is talking about democracy. Everyone is talking about government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We are talking about a junta with his clique who have decided to seize power, and these same persons has called you out to come and demonstrate, and you are out in the street demonstrating, telling the international community that you prefer to be under a military rule than a democratic rule. They might have their reasons. I don't know what their reason is. So sometimes it might be that the democracy has not favored them, as it were. Because sometimes you even find in this part of the world, some of us who want the military. Because it is during the military that you have the creation of states, that you have some developmental projects that you find in most of the states. That is the truth. So it is possible that these people have weighed the democracy and the military rule. And they believe that under the military rule, they will have faster development. The economy will be better off than as it were presently. So that might be their reasons. But again, the question still remains. Democracy still remains the best government in any part of the world. So I try to see that sometimes as a people, we are part of the problem. They have failed to ask themselves, why is things going the way it's supposed to be? The sanctions that is going against them will definitely strangle them if care is not taken. In the next 1 week or 2 weeks, the same people who are singing Hosanna will rise up against their leaders, because the prices of foodstuff, as we talk now, rice and others has gone up. There is no flight coming into Mali, and at the same time, you also find that the government itself, at the end of the day, they will find it difficult to pay salaries of civil servants. And when all this come up, whatever that has happened to them now, to get clearer, most probably presently they are drunk over the actions of the man. By the time they get clearer, they will now understand the implication of their actions. But at the same time too, I still say, I might be wrong, I might be right. They must have seen the difference between democracy and the military rule. Developments in some places, Nigeria, we have tested it here. During military rule, you have developments in all parts. States were created. Since the civilian administration, like in Nigeria, no state, local government has not even been created. Not only the one that was done in Lagos State that they call LCD or whatever. In other states, nothing has happened. So sometimes people see military administration in Africa, to be precise, that is the only time that the leaders, they do some drastic things to the betterment of their people. So I believe the Malians are seeing from that angle. They might be right, because they are the ones who are wearing the shoe. They know where it pinches them. So that is why they are coming. Because if you look at the crowd, they are not rented crowd. They are not rented.
You see elderly women,
Elderly
young youths,
young,
they're all shouting and chanting. And it's happening even right now.
So it is possible that for the fact that they have tested the two, like a woman marrying two husbands, you will know the one that will favor you more. So the Malians have married two husbands. They know that the military will favor them in terms of development and everything. But the sanction, as it were, the pressure will be there. In Nigeria, when Abacha was here, there was sanction. We did better during the sanctions. This country developed. Although I was a little bit younger, but I was able to understand the economics, as it were, in terms of how this country fared. Notwithstanding the sanction against Abacha's government, this nation did better than what we find today.
All right. I will come back to you on that. Well, Honorable, you heard him. It said it's like a woman marrying two husbands. I would say no, a man marrying two wives. I think that should be the right description. In Nigeria, all right. Now, if you take a look at the situation, from what we saw and what is happening right now, God always spoke to them. Look at what they are doing to us. Don't you think that if democracy is truly the government for the people, and just the people that are happy about the junta, I don't think that ECOWAS should leave Mali alone. Because this seems to be the choice of the people. Because when this thing happened, you saw the joy, you saw the jubilation in Mali, in Bamako. They were all happy about it. I don't think ECOWAS is trying to cause more trouble in Mali with these sanctions.
Not at all. As Barrister said just now, that they wear the shoes, they didn't know where the shoes will pinch. When you wear a pair of shoes and it's pinching, that means it's not your size. Your feet are bigger than the shoe. So why wear a pair of shoes that don't fit into your legs? So if Malians see the military as the best, it's a form of short-sightedness. Because the best of any military administration is worse off than the worst civilian rule. Because at that time, power is concentrated towards a very few number of persons in the country. And the level of interaction is reduced. Either you take it or you leave it. That's military for you. Either you are going or you're not going. But now in democracy, you're able to interact freely. If the government policy, you can challenge it. But in the military era, you dare not. Either you accept it or you face the consequences. But the ECOWAS is saying that is taking us centuries backwards. And they have seen it. And when ECOWAS said that, you didn't say anything. Then the next thing, US supported. EU supported.
France even supported.
France. Would I say, fortunately or unfortunately, the colonizers of the Malians supported that move. Because it was clear to them when they weighed everything. You know, one thing about human beings, I think I should give you this background. A white man came into an African community that couldn't understand English. So, fortunately and unfortunately, the white man saw a man that could interpret what he was saying. So, to cut a long story short, the white man gave a long story. And in a short while, the interpreter just said it in less than a few seconds. So the white man was not wondering, how were you able to summarize what I said to them? The man said, I told them that you said something funny, that they should laugh. so that's what's happening. That's what Gotha would have told the people. That these people want to take over our land. Do we agree? I've got to say no. These people want to recolonize us. Do we agree? They will say no. So what do? We not go agree. That's how they came out. Even old woman. That's how they're out. They have been misinformed. Because if, as you came in, you agreed that they took over power 2 years ago, 2020, that you agreed that February 2022, there will be a democratic election going on. Now you are saying that 2022 February is no longer feasible until 2025. So is that for the good of the Malians? And if you do such a thing, people, one thing about poverty attempts to don't allow one thing very well. Mali is one of the poorest in the world, not in Africa, in the world. And it's a landlocked country. So you don't have anything to actually offer to others. So that's a level of poverty, such that you cannot actually trade on anything. You don't have money, you don't have anything. So a leader that comes, the one that saw the photograph of Goita, if you can show us now. So this kind of military they have abroad, I mean in Mali, heavily bearded. By military in Nigeria, you see clean shaving and all that.
Well, you should also understand their background.
So I was wondering, this man is not a gentleman, you know, that took over power. It was about 1965. Yeah. So the point I'm making is, I'm not sure that the Malians have been properly given the right orientation for them to come out en masse. As you also pointed out just now, in a few days from now, when the thing begins to bite hard on them, those saying, Hosanna, Hosanna, will turn back and say, crucify him. And we're going to come back to this studio to discuss the crucify him.
All right. He talked about 2 years. He was given 2 years. Since 2020, this thing happened. Yes. And the world is watching. Africa is watching. ECOWAS is watching until Goita came to the world and said, look, the number, or let's say the duration given to me is not enough. You have to give me more time to stabilize everything in Mali. And here we have a people coming out to support Goita. You talked about the worst democracies far better than the best military. Certainly. Yeah. But is that the mentality of this Malians, Barrister?
No, and that's subscribed to that position too. Because we have tested good ways in this part of the world.
Yeah.
I hope that I will be in days of Abacha. The economy was not available like this. Notwithstanding the sanctions that was given to this dear country, we survived it. Because it is an opportunity for the country to look inwards and develop itself. If you know you have potentials, we are saying that the country,
yeah.
There are things that make them different from other persons. That they should look inwards and develop their country as well.
So should there be another North Korea right now? Is that what they're talking about?
Impossible. Impossible. They should. Impossible. They should. Because you see, the problem we have in this part of the world is that we depend so much on the international community. If you see anybody here in Nigeria, including some person, young men who say, I want to travel overseas. The question I ask you, what are you doing there to do? What did you leave there that you want to go and collect? He said, oh, I'll go there, I'll make money and not go. These are the issues. If that's our mentality in this part of the world. It's the same thing. But if we have an orientation to understand that if you look inward, you'll be able to develop it and get better. People became millionaires here without even traveling out of the city. What is life about? It's contentment. So what I'm trying to say in this sense, the Malians have looked at both sides of the coin and they know where it will benefit them. Democracy, they have looked at democracy for the short period it has been there as it were. And they discovered that their leaders have not actually done that which they told them they are going to do. Because the question there is that the average African man, what he needs is that will make him, the family, a better person. If he has a roof over his head, has food, there is electricity, water, and all that. The basic needs of life, just as we in Nigeria, we ask our leader. Somebody will be seeking borehole, and you see people tying gele and be dancing. I will ask the person, what is wrong with us as a people? So the Malians have equally looked at it, that the politicians have done little or nothing. Democracy is too expensive. The type we practice in Africa is too expensive. Just like in Nigeria, you see over 300 persons in the National Assembly. Ask yourself, what are they doing? Some person has never moved a motion. I saw one that day, something. He said he has been in the National Assembly for 16 years. Ask yourself, what has he done to improve the life of his people? And I learned he said he wants to contest election in Delta as a governor. Can you imagine? As if he is the only one in this part of the world, no other person. People have seen this. The Malians have equally seen this, that their politicians have done little or nothing, and that is why the military rule to them, for the short time it has been there, they say give them time. But the man is asking for time. Another thing you will find out, the man is not working alone. Decisions are not taken by him as an individual. The people have sat down wherever they will sit, because in every society there are people who are the inner caucus members, as it were. They must have sat down somehow and decided that this is how we want our nation to be. Give us time to enable us stabilize certain things, so that men and women who are coming under the democratic setting will be able to find a solid foundation, so that they will not go back the same Egypt or remain in the wilderness. Instead of 40 days journey, they will be there for 40 years. That is what they are talking about. So, to me, the Malians, they have the reason to make a choice, and the choice they are making, for whatever it is worth, other persons might do. It's not like my brother here saying that military rule. The military rule, there are some military rules that are better than democracy. We have tested it in this country. I am a living example. The great states, the great local governments, I know local governments and states that were created within those periods. Since then, till 20-something years of democracy, they have not created one local government.
All right. Over to you. Now, Honorable, don't you think that ECOWAS was a little bit hasty? Like what he said, we know where it pinches. When the junta happened, you could see the joy. People like saying that the reason why ECOWAS choose to do this because of the demise, so to speak, of Keita. That really triggered so many things. But like, look, enough is enough. His demise cannot be unconnected to the junta that took place. Do you see reason in that?
ECOWAS wasn't hasty. You know, on this floor of the studio, we commonly talk about ECOWAS not taking a proactive measure. But now, this is the right time to do it. If, as ECOWAS proposed to place sanctions on them, and AU now observed otherwise, then AU carries on from there. If there's another challenge, then the next thing, UN. But now the proposal by the ECOWAS was adopted by France itself. US, EU countries accepted it. So that tells you that the ECOWAS has woken up. As you said now, maybe I want to burst your bubble, that Goita is not going to create a solid foundation. It's going to create a sorry foundation. Because there's what we call initial gragra. It's just doing that.
No, Barrister, sorry, Honorable, for cutting initial gragra for 1 year plus.
Wait.
It's not the initial gragra for, okay, hold on. Let him explain for 1 year plus gragra, and it's still going.
It's the initial.
Okay.
It's the initial.
All right.
His final gragra, he's thinking it will end at 2025. They won't let it get there. Because the premise upon which it took over power, that things were not going on the right way, which is a common occurrence in African nations where, as you said now, military at that time better than civilian. I would not agree, because President Jonathan's time is better than this present administration in terms of economy. So President Jonathan wasn't a soldier. So he's in those diving of the economy in Nigeria with no thanks to poor leadership.
All right,
so
okay,
we're
fine.
back.
Back to Mali.
Yeah, it's still part of Africa.
Yeah.
So what God promised, he couldn't deliver. Why there was a kind of a backup by other international communities that come February 2022, there will be democracy and elections will be conducted in Mali. That's why they allowed him. Otherwise, as he came on board in 2020 and said that no, in 2025, I'm not vacating this office, they would have tested the venom of the international communities. So he lied at that point. And it was agreed February 2022, that was enough. He is claiming insecurity, one challenge or the other. If there was insecurity, as I earlier said, why is it that in the face of insecurity, why are they having these large protests? If there was truly insecurity, if there is, he created it. Of course, you know, he overthrew again last 2021. That the interim government that was set up, he came back and overthrew it. In other words, he has an ulterior motive that Keita helped him to perpetrate. Keita didn't live up to expectation. That does not mean that civil rule or democratic rule is less better than the military rule. They are incomparable. Someone that will parade you left, right, and someone that will ask you, this matter, how do you see it? That's gentlemanly. So there is no way we're going to argue it. In the modern day world, civilized world, is democracy. And that's why France had to even back ECOWAS. Otherwise, France would have been against ECOWAS. These are my boys then. I colonized them. Let them be. But France discovered that what ECOWAS did was in the right perspective. So that's what they followed.
All right. Now, talking about system of government, we take a look at Saudi Arabia. It's not democracy. if you come down to Morocco also, it's not strictly democracy, and there's no interference from any form of government.
Neither military.
Let them be. Yeah.
Neither military.
Yes, you're right. Neither military. Now, if people are like saying that, leave us the way we are for now, and from what Goita told the people, he said, look, these guys are a bunch of oppressors. That was the word he used.
Goita used?
Yes.
You know, Goita is a colonel. There were other senior officers. What happened to the senior officers?
Good question.
What did you do to them?
Good question.
If he's a good leader,
Good
what
question.
did Goita as a colonel do to the senior officers?
Good question.
That's another thing.
Now, I'm going to throw these questions at you, a legal practitioner. He raised a question. What happened to the senior officers? And of course, Goita calling ECOWAS, France, and the likes that used to slam sanction on them oppressors. What do you feel about this?
You see, the truth still remains that anything that borders on Africa, the international community sees it from a different way. Is there anything that will benefit France from? They have their troops in Sahel as well as in Mali.
Yeah.
What actually does have Mali have? Is there oil there? Is there gold there? Because they are the things you begin to ask yourself. What would international community do? ECOWAS is putting sanctions now because issues have been raised. The question there is, the Malians are the ones who have tasted it, just as I argue, the two administrations. The democracy we practice in Africa is not the same you practice in other parts of the world. The democracy you practice in other parts of the world is the government of the people by the people and for the people. In the one in Africa, is government for few people and for the benefit of the few people.
That's your definition.
Personal opinion.
Because many people may not agree to your definition of democracy.
Many people will too far don't agree.
That is the one I find in this part of the world.
All right.
It's the government of very few persons. The kind of a cabal, like as Nigeria is. Some persons see this country as their business center. They determine how tomorrow will look like. If you are going to contest election, for example, now, you must have the capacity. Capacity is not in terms of you know, that you have the qualification in terms of maybe a school side holder or HND or OND. But do you have the capacity in terms of money? If you don't have the money, you can't contest election in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria, because you need money. Ordinary councillor to contest as a councillor in your ward, you can't spend less than, just for example, 20 million or 30 million naira. Where will you get such money from?
Don't underrate him.
No,
let's make what it clear. I don't have such money. Let's make what it clear. In that aspect, you are free to underrate.
Yes, because somebody will determine how you get there, and the man who has determined how you get there will determine how the things are done. Okay. At the end of the day, what would have benefited the people collectively? Very few persons will hijack it, and that is what the Malians are saying. No, we no longer want it. I have lived all my life in this part of the world. I've never gone overseas, and I have no business going overseas. And I have seen that our leaders in this part of the world, the democracy we practice is not the same democracy you practice in UK or you practice in the United States of America. So if the people look at it that the military rule, because we are saying military rule, but the question again is that what type of military rule are they they are operating? Is it not the same alliance? It's the name we give to it that makes it different. It's the same alliance. And the same persons have organized themselves and said, we will determine our fate by ourselves. And somebody is telling us that because it is a military rule. No, it is not a military rule. It is the same alliance. They are the ones who have chosen the paths they want to carve for themselves, not the international community, who does not live in their place.
So are you not saying that these international communities with their sanctions, they are oppressors?
No, they are oppressors.
Are you going in the same term that Goita saying these guys are oppressing us?
No, they are oppressors, to be candid with you. Because a man who lives in his community knows what he is passing through. He has placed his future of his children in the hands of the politicians. The politicians have failed them. You can imagine that, just take for example in Nigeria, somebody is still talking about great construction of road as a development. Abuja Road, I run it sometimes once or twice every month. Up till now, for over 20-something years, they have not been able to do Abuja Road from Benin City to Lokoja. Construction work, money has been voted, not once, not twice. As far back as 1999, they have been voting money for this road. Where are the contractors they gave the money to? Did they disappear into the sky? Is it not the same Nigerians who are living in this world? The same thing the Malians are saying, no more. We don't want politicians. We want the military, who will create state for us, who will create local government for us, who will take the risk of using our money.
All right.
There's no price control. It's just that I was calling now. The boss man can decide to tell you from dancing, he said 250. What will you using 150? But there's a type of government you will have. You will dare not increase your price, which is stable. So that is the issue.
Okay. You are saying a lot of persons saying they are oppressors. Both of you are standing on your ground. Okay, I think so. Go ahead. The next question. Go ahead.
Yeah. The only way I want to agree with Barrister Henry right now, the only way, is in Africa, especially in Nigeria, the type of democracy is not really a kind of democracy. What we are experiencing is civilian rule. Civilian rule, I agree.
Okay, your own definition of
what is operational?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a kind of civilian rule, not pure democracy as actually defined.
As democracy.
Yeah, so now, he also said that he has not left Nigeria, but I'm suspecting him.
You
will agree with me now.
Why are you suspecting him?
Yeah, obviously you're suspecting him because it's as if he wants to travel to Mali.
No, I don't want to go to Mali. I'm not going anywhere.
Because the way you are supporting going to, it's as if you want to go to Mali as your first international travel.
No, I'm only supporting.
So I wish you save journey along that line. But the point remains the same. Are we not in Nigeria? There is a military civilian rule. I want to use democratic rule anymore. Military civilian rule. I will not be in Nigeria here now, where we are still recovering Abacha loot. Abacha was a civilian head of state. Is it not?
No, he's a military.
Wait, I'm asking you.
He's a military. No.
So, was there a looting? Was there a looting?
The looting you are talking about, the people who are there now, and the people who came
we are still recovering.
The people, what they looted from this country before now, and what they are still looting in this country. In fact, money meant for development of towns and villages, where are they today? Constituency project money, where are they today?
You earlier said that military will not succumb to exploitation or misappropriation, will not loot anything. That I just reminded you about Abacha loot.
All right, gentlemen, now let's focus on Mali. Let's go back to.
We're still on Mali.
Yes, let's look Nigeria for now.
It's not that matters arising. Matters arising. Yeah.
He also mentioned something.
Yes.
The Russia and China factor.
Yes.
This is the right person going through that. He's saying that he liked the stand of Russia and China. They're urging him to continue with what was until everything is stable. Then he can now transmit power to the civilian rule. Do you think he's making a point in what he's saying?
I see Goita as a drowning person. He's drowning. And he's like to buy enemies. Look for people to join him. There's no relationship between Mali and China and Russia in this sense. If not, that is asking them to come and rescue them, the Malians. Otherwise, this is an ECOWAS matter. Do you know that if they're going to have an ECOWAS meeting, Goita cannot be there? Because it's meant for democratically elected presidents. They can't go there. And as far as Mali will be concerned, during those meetings they will have, they'll be shut out of it. Good or bad, they'll be shut out of it. So by mentioning China and Russia is to put cap in hand and begging, Russia come and help us, China come and help us. But the predicament that Goita has plunged Mali into was self-made. There was no oppression from any person. You generated the oppression from within. As he took over power, I've asked that question, but none of us has answered that. As he took over power as a colonel in the army, what happened to his superiors? What happened to them? Are they still alive? He's the one calling other ECOWAS countries and the rest as oppressors. That they are inhuman, they are this, the embargo is too strict. But what has he done to renege in the agreement that as I took over power in 2020, come February 2022, an election will be conducted? Has he been sanctioned on that? Based on integrity test, should he be talking? You agreed. As you bargain, that's how you pay. You are bargained now you are saying you are not paying. So what the call for China and Russia is uncalled for at this point. Just settle your internal matters within the ECOWAS. Once you have done that, it doesn't concern other countries. what other countries try to do now, that what ECOWAS said was right. They didn't make any further input. ECOWAS said, not UN, not US, not France. ECOWAS said, all those borders around Mali be closed, including air borders. It wasn't US that said that. They only concurred with what was said by ECOWAS. If ECOWAS had heard along that line, they would have called ECOWAS to order through AU. That AU, call your boys to order at ECOWAS. That sanction doesn't make sense at this point. So those sanctions placed on Mali was just to make Goita to agree with the agreement earlier reached that come February 2022. Do you know that the feasibility of that election is zero? Because it made sure that there's nothing on ground to conduct elections next month. There's nothing. It created it. It was trying to allude that to insecurity. In the face of insecurity that you are shouting about, where did these people come out peacefully from? You need to answer that question. When they come out peacefully, you're the one raising eyebrows. There's no movement to killings here and there. He's the one doing it.
Okay. All right. Because, well, since you're accusing him, you're not there to know if he's the one doing it. Because right now, everything's like, speculative about... don't forget that Mali has been fighting insurgents. That's why France have their troops there, on one hand. But you may say that he may, make it worse because of the presence of the military, and France that is supporting them in fight against insurgents, not really backing them up anymore. He may have a point in that dimension. All the same, you just hold on. The China and Russia factor, from what he rightly said, it's like a drowning man that is calling to these two great nations, knowing fully that these two great countries always opposes U.S. stand, EU stand, or of stand to come to their aid. Do you share his views and opinions?
In the international community, they are usually the politics. You play it.
Yeah.
You play it with the benefit of your people. Nigeria that is indebted to China up to tomorrow morning, because we are still borrowing. We have not stopped borrowing. Are you not saying...
It's an agreement to borrow.
Are you not saying that Nigeria is drowning?
It's drowning? Don't you know Nigeria is drowning?
No.
Don't you know?
We are not drowning, please. We are not drowning.
National transport fare just now.
We are not drowning, please. Let's be guarded.
From 150 to 250. Is that not drowning?
Let's be guarded.
No, it's the people here in Benin City.
Are they not Nigerians?
I traveled to Asaba within the weekend.
Yeah.
The same transport fare that I paid before I was staying, I still paying in Asaba.
Okay.
So in Benin City here, people take, for every situation, people capitalizes on it because they believe we are not the type that will complain. But like as I told the boss man, I said, when it starts, we will start with 2 people. I told the man, the boss man, I said, it will start one day, and you people will be the first victim. And he said, it's Buhari. I told him, leave the man in Abuja alone, settle your problem.
Yeah.
So coming to the issue we're talking about, it's a very simple thing. This same person, the China, everybody want to align himself or herself to a particular group. From where your people will benefit from. Today, Nigeria is borrowing from China, left, right, and center. The train is China. Everything is China.
And the train caught fire. One of them caught fire.
Without the fire extinguisher in the train.
Okay. Well, that is a talk for another day. Let's focus.
The issue there now is, if you align yourself to people who you feel will be of assistance to you in terms of trouble, just as we are having China assisting us in this period of trouble. So, France, Russia and China playing their role as usual. You cannot find everybody being on the same page. At the angle at which you are looking at an issue might be quite different. China is not a democratic nation. Russia is not a democratic nation.
Neither military.
Hold on, but they are practicing democracy.
I know,
the president was democratically elected in Russia, even in China.
Yes, no, the type of democracy they practice is not the same you practice in the UK or United States. You know that is too expensive to manage. Or the type you practice here. People gather themselves in one big hall and doing nothing. At the end of the day, somebody will eat something and say, I say it, B say it. And that will be the end. And collect their money. The same thing these people in Mali, they do not want it again. Give them time to develop their type of democracy they want. They will take a decision on how they want. We are saying that because they are military men, because they are wearing military uniform. IBB did it here. At the point in time, he decided to remove the military uniform and wear the civilian to act as the president. You understand what I'm talking about? So it's the same thing. For the Malians at this point in time, they know what they need, and we should be able to allow them. The man Goita is not taking the decision alone, just as I rightly said. There are people there who are, part of the government.
Are you speaking authoritatively?
No, I'm telling you, that is what you find in every part of the world. No man is an island. He can't take a decision on his own. Because in the first place, he was not the one who brought himself there. People decided to be, he was not the most senior military officer. But people see that he has the guts to take some certain risks. That was why they made him their leader. Not that you don't have one. When Rawlings and his gang took over in Ghana, Rawlings was not the most senior officer. Yeah. Even at the point in time, he was sentenced to death. But they know how they want to live with his boys. At the end of the day, he was able to take over government. So what we're saying in essence is that sometimes in a drastic, a situation that needs a drastic, way of, putting things right for the people, they need civilian rule, as it were. But the type they need is not the type being given to them by their leaders now. So that is why they are saying, let the military be there for a short time to enable us lay a solid foundation and then get the right people that can lead us to the promised land we are talking about. It's the same thing you find virtually in all African countries. It's only very few countries like Rwanda and few others that have been able to get it right. But like others, we have not gotten it right. Here now, we are able to, take for example in this country as it is now, presently. 2023 is just next month here.
Next year.
Next
year, next year, please.
But now, who have you seen? Who did you see saying that I'm coming to take this country to the promised land we are talking about? Nobody. It's the same set of persons who have recycled themselves from 1960 to today.
All right. Now, some of the people, the reason why he's calling out to China and Russia, knowing fully that ECOWAS choose to close, her door against Mali, even the colonial masters, former colonial masters also choose to close their door against Mali. The only option Goita may have is to go cap in hand to borrow loans from China, or better say from Russia. What is your view on this particular hypothesis?
If Goita makes the move to borrow money from China, is to further plunge Mali into more troubles, because by now we know that money gotten from China is a case of Oyo on your own, and Oyo can lead to Yobe. Yobe is year of bad experience. So at this point, if Goita means well, let the Goita not be the pathological Goita we have from the thyroid gland. So if that becomes the case, the people of Mali will regret ever supporting him right now. That's why they have not recovered. They're like a drunken man in stupor. The moment you recover, your eyes are clear. If you drag Mali, that can produce little or nothing, into borrowing millions of dollars or whatever currency, how would you pay back? If you allow me, as bad as Nigeria is, we are far, far better than Mali.
Well, some people be like, don't say that Nigeria is bad.
If we say
I'm talking about the rules of the airways.
If we say Nigeria is bad, things are getting so terrible. Nigeria is an Eldorado compared to Mali. And if Nigeria is still borrowing with their wealth and they are managed to pay back on installment, where will Mali get the money to pay back? You don't have any seaport. It's landlocked. It's tied up.
But they have airports.
Have you browsed Bamako to see what's happening there? So when you see people coming out, it's a case of poverty manifesting. They just tell anything you want to do, go and do it. That's what they are doing it. You can't tell us Nigerians to do that. We can't do it. We are more civilized to behave like that. We can't try it. Then you call everybody out to go and demonstrate. The president from Abuja just say, people in the Benin City, on the social day, go and demonstrate. Nobody's going to leave to demonstrate because everybody's enlightened. That tells you the level of poverty, apart from finance, education, and all that, faced with Malians. So the earlier they realize that what Gota is dragging them into, to Russia and to China, they will further get more troubles. Because Russia, China, and North Korea, they are against France, US, UN, and all that. So will they actually survive? If they are to fight now, Russia, China, and North Korea, is Mali going to join to fight UN? Can Mali fight? So what should be now is to broker peace. That was the understanding of ECOWAS. That's why ECOWAS was embarrassed. That you took over power from Keita in 2020, with the intention of making things look better. And everything was calculated on a round table that to achieve this democratic process will take you from now, 2020, to January, February 2022 to conduct an election. And now, Gota just woke up and discovered that this election cannot be conducted. That's why he's raising eyebrows now that there will be no election until 2025. How did he get to 2025? To me, reasonably, he should have gone back to the ECOWAS leadership that before now, like last year, 2021, that, sorry, I earlier said, it can be renegotiated, that I will hand over power to democratically elected government in February 2022. But from the look of things now, I can't because of ABC.
But that's what he's doing.
No, he's not doing it.
That's what he just did.
It was a sanction placed on him now that's making him think like this.
But that's what he
should
told
have
that
done
this
this
would have done
last
this
year.
Last year, okay.
You should have done that last year.
You're talking about the timing.
Yeah, you should have done that last year.
Okay.
It's an afterthought now.
All right.
Because they have placed embargo on you now, sanctions on you. You don't have, okay, if that's the case now, people come and demonstrate. That's not to rule people.
Okay. All right, now before we call it a wrap on this show, because our time is almost up, we wonder how time flies and really assessing or analyzing burning issues in Africa. Can one deduce from what is happening right now, because the protest is still ongoing? With the caliber of persons you saw on the clip, mommies, daddies, professionals, youths, even kids among them protesting, can one deduce the fact that somewhere along the line, God have been able to win over the hearts of many Malians? Over to you, Barrister.
As I rightly said, I said these are people who have worn two different shoes. They know where it reaches them. They have tested the civilian rule, which we classify as democracy in this part of the world. And they have seen they have benefited nothing from it. And that is why when the military came, they advocated for it. You remember there were demonstrations and all what?
Yeah, against Keita, yeah.
Against Keita. The Northman has been there.
But not against democracy.
No.
But against Keita, but though it's late now.
Keita is a symbol of
Democracy, okay.
The politicians are a symbol of democracy. When things are not getting better, the people have right to ask questions. We cannot continue to remain docile because somebody will wake up from his in America and tell us that we are not, we want democracy in Africa. Have you asked, are we ready for it? Nigeria was not even ready for independence in 1960.
Well, you cannot say that.
No,
if we are not ready, our young men then in 1960 would not have pushed for independence.
Yes.
So let's leave it at that, please.
No. Yeah, why I said so was that was the orientation, was it as high? It was very few persons that knew the reasons for certain things. And those few persons who were leaders as far back as 60s as it were, they had the interest of this nation at heart. Watch what has happened since others came. It's the same thing the Malians are saying. The people, they have left their destiny in their hand. They discover that the people are not interested in their destiny. Instead, they are interested in how do they reach themselves. How do they buy private jets, build houses. What do you have in Dubai that people go to in Dubai for?
Good question.
Is there anything? No.
I can't answer that because you say you're not traveling abroad. So why are you interested?
No,
why are you interested in it?
It's because you are saying there's nothing in Mali. It's because
there's nothing there.
Because the people have refused to develop their potentiality.
Okay.
It's just like an individual.
All
he
right.
will see himself, he said, I don't have the capacity to do this. Who told you?
All right,
Test
thank
yourself
you.
and see that the Lord is good.
Thank you so much, Barrister. That's your last line. And you're going to have the final line on this discussion. I mean, you're going to talk about the deduction that Goita somewhere along the line has won over the heart of Malians, if not all, at least majority of them. And what do you think should be the way forward in all of this?
Yeah, Goita should not mislead Malians further. He should show the path of humility. Go and renegotiate. That if they even doubted his claims, they could come, send envoys there, and see to the workability of 2022 February election holding or not. So they will come in and assess the situation. So instead of dragging people into what they don't even understand, those people don't understand what is happening. They don't understand what is I'm telling you. Have you not seen?
They don't understand.
Wait. Have you not seen?
You saw the clip.
I thought you asked me a question.
Of course I did.
You asked me a question. So,
of course I did.
Have you not seen protests whereby they will turn the placards upside down in Nigeria?
Those ones are higher.
That's what I'm saying.
But
this one
in
is
this
not
case,
a higher
you
ground.
watch for what you saw in that
it's not
video,
a higher
and it's still
ground.
happening right now.
Monday is
Nobody was giving
another edition of African
Discourse.
Discourse.
Yes.
Next Monday, we will discover that you're going to be on my side. Because the people would have lost energy.
All right.
They would have told, they would have told that we never knew that it was going to be like this.
All right.
No, next Monday, let's see it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
With the grace of God.
I appreciate you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your wonderful analysis. Well, you've heard them. They spoke their mind, and of course, able to draw analogy from what is happening in some African countries, juxtaposing what happened in Nigeria, just like that, trying to, make you see reasons why some persons will want to come out to either support for, or let's say, fight against in protest some certain decisions made by leaders. As we're speaking to you right now, the protest is still on in Mali. They're protesting against the sanction placed on them by ECOWAS. Goita said, look, these guys are oppressing us. China, Russia, thank you so much for whatever you're doing for us. But the EU, France, ECOWAS are saying, Goita, what you're doing is wrong. But can two wrongs make it right? We're watching, we're observing, and don't forget that also the comment of my guests is their comment, but they do their best possible to follow the rules and regulations governing the airwaves. All right, let's just be clear on that. It has nothing to do with ITV, but they express their opinions, they express their views. Let's see if Goita will have a change of heart. Let's see there be a change in, method of governance in Mali. Let's see ultimately if democracy or civilian rule, depends on your definition of democracy, will come back speedily to Mali, or is it going to be fight to finish till 2025 as proposed by Goita? Only time will tell. God willing, tomorrow, same time, I'll see you on International Forum. Bye for now.